Hey, what's up? It's Oakley, and I'm going to be playing in Warhammer 2. This is the Lizardmen, and I'm going to be facing off against Indy Pride as the Dark Elves positioned there over in the distance. I'll put this on slow motion as we get underway. So the army composition. So for myself, I have most of my forces deployed in front of you, the kind of main line of Saurus warriors with a couple just skink cohorts. So the skink cohorts are very light troops, not very good for much. But I knew Indy Pride would probably bring some of his skirmishers and crossbowmen. So these guys are going to be my arrow catchers, and gleefully you can see these guys haven't been given that memo. So yeah, that smile is going to be wiped off their faces fairly soon. To back that up, I have some feral cold ones just to do some strikes on his infantry as they close in. On either side, I have a feral Bastillodon, and then kind of in the back here, I have an ancient Stegodon holding down the right flank. This guy is awesome. Comes with these little ancient versions of machine guns and some javelin throwers, so he's gonna be holding down the right hand flank. And then I also have two of my lords. The first one is gonna be Krokgar on his giant Carnosaur, and then also I have a skink priest of beasts here. The reason I brought the Lore of Beasts is because it has the Flock of Doom, so I'm going to be trying to pop that to just get lots of damage done to Indy's inevitable blobs that are going to be coming my way. Now he does have Malekith, who's going to be pushing forward, but let's keep going over my army composition. Key to my composition actually is going to be two of these Pterodon Riders with Fire Leech Bola, so we'll be seeing those guys take effect, but they're really cool units to bring along, very versatile, and they can help you gain air superiority. Anyways, most of my forces, at least my elite forces, 3 of the Temple Guard units are going to be hidden out here in the woods. And yeah, I wanted to keep them out of range of Indy Pride. I also have 2 skink battalions here of these, basically another cohort force, but this time with Javs. And these guys are meant to crash in on the flank of Indy's line if he gets too close. So here's the second one. And anyways, I have even more forces up through the front. So I have 3 of the chameleon skinks, or 2 actually, I believe. And these guys are awesome. I love the little idling animations that they have. And they have little toads on their heads and little toads on their... Oh my god, that's freaking awesome. You always appreciate all the little artistic details. Anyways, they are deployed in the forest here. Pretty hidden, and they're going to be meant to support my far left push, which is going to be 2 Cold One Spear Riders, plus a Saurus Scar Veteran, also mounted on a Cold One here. Yeah. And so my main thrust was, hey, let's push through the woods, because right now Indy has 2 hidden Cold One Knights. But I figured he would have something ambushing on this flank, and so that's why I was going to push forward with a couple units up front, and then have a little bit of an ambush ready for him with these chameleon skinks if he tried to engage. Even I can't find them. Hey there, a little bit deeper in the forest. But anyways, Indy is pushing up. He's going to start to get up in here. Oh, and he actually has another Dark Rider with shields deployed on that flank. So I'm just going to hold back. Malekith is just scouting out my forces, and Indy, we were in chat here, is like, hey, this isn't your whole force, is it? I was like, yep, that's completely accurate. I have hidden forces, as always. But anyway, my Ancient Stegodon here was just getting some early shots off at Malekith. Malekith decides to not really take too much bait. He didn't find any worthy targets, and he's going to go ahead and pull back to the main force. Speaking of the main force, Dark Shards, looking freaking glorious, pulling up with their, like, essentially riot shields and crossbows, moving up. So Indy has 4 of those guys. That's a pretty formidable front line, and he can slowly try and grind me down. In the back, he has some of these Dread Spears, 2 of them. Actually, make that 3. And then he has very much a defense in depth. So a couple more guys, Blackguard of Naggaroth, and then some Harganeth Executioners. Put this on slow motion because the engagement is getting way under here. And I do want to show you some of these guys if you haven't seen them already, because they are aesthetically freaking fantastic. So they're the Executioners. In the back, some Witch Elves, nice out of out of range of my any skirmishers that I may have. And he also has the Death Hag with the Cauldron of Blood. This thing is freaking phenomenal. Buffs up your guys and makes a really murderous crew in the center. And I love, again, all the animations of the little units hidden on the side. And then in the very, very far back, he has even more guys. Blackguard of Naggaroth. Really a nice mobile force that can close in on itself, defended from all flanks, and he's expecting me to come in like a wrecking ball, fire away with these Dark Shards, pull them to the back, and then fire at my big mounts. So this is a scary blob that I don't really want to attack. I don't want to get sucked in depth, so that's why I'm attacking on the flank. In any case, I came in here, and I'm revealing everything. So my Pterodon Riders with the Fire Leech Bolas are coming in, and what I'm going to do is my Cold One Spear Riders are going to pull out of this engagement. I'm trying to bait Indy into an attack. He is coming in with Malekith to support, but here's where I'm going to pop out with my Chameleon Skinks, who are very, very hard to hit. Anyways, his Cold One riders are going to outpace my guys somehow. I was hoping to pull out of here without too much damage, but I'm going to be forced to turn around. Meanwhile, Malekith is hoping to get some easy strikes on my Cold Ones. But I guess what he didn't anticipate is these Fire Leech Bolas actually being able to do a lot of damage. So in close support, they're going to be starting to unload on his guys. Indy's popping all sorts of abilities on me. Word of Pain to take away my melee attack. But with these guys pulling in, Fire Leech Bolas at point blank range is going to be doing a lot to kill Indy's guys. So while some of my guys may be routing, he's actually losing a fair amount of his own troops. My skinks here are being very annoying, taking a couple shots from Malekith, but they can retreat and get some rear shots, especially with two of them. So Malekith here is going to try and chase, but look at that concentrated fire. So here goes, trying to land, bringing down some of these settlements with him, but I'm doing a lot of damage with these skinks. Meanwhile, this side, I've closed up. I'm going to leave my Sora Scar Veteran to clean up these two guys. A couple more Fire Leech Bolas fired backwards in anger, and then I've actually dispatched one of my hidden Kroxigars from the forest to deal with this force. So I'm closing in on this front. Indy has Malekith very much isolated, and what I can do here is I actually have air superiority. He could perhaps take out these Fire Leech Bolas, but there's two of them, so I can just fly right next to Malekith and just throw these little exploding Fire Leeches at him. So you can see him trying to pursue, taking actually a lot of damage, almost got him down to half strength. Meanwhile, I'm continuing to clean up the rear, dropping some bombs on these Cold Ones. My Scar Veteran here, cleaning up these guys. So I've stripped away Indy's Cav pretty handily. Chameleon Skink's also going to come in here to reinforce. So that's awesome. So I've been able to clean up the flank. I did lose both of my Cav, so perhaps Indy got away in the cavalry department, but I invested a little bit less in that, and then I'm coming in with reinforcements to really clean up his guys, and then my Fire Leech Bolas plus the Chameleon Skinks doing a really good job of forcing Malekith back, and this is a big win for me. Getting him down to 60% health is excellent. And actually, speaking of cavalry units, I did all that damage just to knock out one. The other one is trying to retreat its way back to the main battlefield. And yeah, this superiority that I have is freaking awesome. Indy could turn around with some of his Dark Shards and try and fight me back, but it's his main strike here is he's like, all right, screw you, Oakley, on the flank. I'm just going to push up into the center. This is where I'm going to unveil my flank attack. So here come my skink cohorts. So here comes the little ambush that I set up. So my cohorts are going to charge right up on the flank of the elves. And if I'm going to pick any target, it's first going to be these Dark Shards, because I know if I can get rid of his ranged attacks, then that means, oh, actually looks like I'm hitting, yeah, no, these are his Dark Shards. I was confused because they had swords. But anyways, I want to take out his ranged ability. If I can take out his range, then I can just continue to kite Indy to death. So I'm going to come in, and then I'm actually going to unload a little bit on the Hydra. This was not the greatest calculation on my part, because it's just going to heal right up, but I meant to try to get into the back, and here just kite his forces. And the nice thing here is he's going to be chasing after me with these Witch Elves. These guys are poorly, or these ladies, excuse me, are poorly armored, so I'm going to be able to get some nice early shots against them. The dragon there is going to try and get some shots off, but these skinks are very, very quick, and they have the ability to dodge some shots. That still took a pretty big chunk out of me, but I do also have Kroxigars and a Scar Veteran there dealing with Indy's rear. This is pretty awesome to me. In the front, my skink cohorts have been destroyed, as was to be expected, but I did still have another skink cohort that's going to be tearing into the flank of his Dark Shards, and he's going to be forced to retreat after only having shot up one of my skink cohorts. The other one is going to be chasing in. Don't expect them to do too much damage, but they're just here to ward his guys away. So I've got pretty good control on this flank. Malekith continues to go down. He's going to charge into my Scar Veteran and Kroxigars, dealing lots of damage to them, but I did get his Witch Elves to be destroyed. The other one here is very vulnerable, and all I have in the back is a couple skirmishers. He just doesn't have any cav or any fast-moving units to take me on. Malekith could try and pursue, but he won't be able to outrun these guys, because if they split up in focus power, they could even take out Malekith. So things in the rear are going well for me. Meanwhile, I'm going to pull up with my Pterodons. I had thrown up a skink cohort in the center just to tie down the enemy, force them into a big blob. And what I was trying to do is get some early bombing attacks before I ever get into battle. So here they go, and they're going to drop tons of boulders on top of Indy, so I'm hoping to do just as much harass and damage as possible. His units are going to start to turn about and fire into my guys, but at the same time, I do also pull up with my Ancient Stegodon on the flank with the Bastiladon, just kind of posturing, lots of heavy armor on these guys, and just want to get early shots. Meanwhile, on this front, He's trying to chase after me. The Hydra getting some fire breath. It's going to burn up some of these skinks. His Cold One Dread Knights are going to charge in. So one of my skinks is wavering, but that's okay. I have a lot of guys, and they can turn about, and they have one more reinforcement with this Chameleon skink. So I'm pretty happy, and yeah, look at all those shots coming in here. Should clean up the remainder of those guys, and the Kroxigars are rampaging, which means they'll probably go and chase guys that I don't want them to. But anyways, I've revealed a bit of my hand here, taunting with these Temple Guards on the flank, and Indy realizes that this is kind of scary, so he's going to cycle out with the Death Hag. I did charge in with my skink cohort, just to tie down his forces, and again, force Indy to blob up to get me, you know, another free charge in here with my Pterodons. I'm going to charge in and do a fair amount of damage, but still get a lot of fire from his Dark Shards. It's not too bad because they've pretty much expended their usage, dropping a lot of bombs, doing a lot of damage, and they're going to disrupt this force while my Temple Guards get in from the center. And then I'm going to charge up through the center at his weakened guys in the middle, who haven't been able to put on too much damage to my guys. They've mostly been firing at skink cohorts and the Pterodons. So yeah, I pretty much neutralized those guys. On this flank, Indy is going to dispatch a Black Guard of Naggaroth and some Dread Spears. Instead of charging straight into this, I'm literally just going to stand here and fire away until I do enough damage. In the back, meanwhile, I have my skirmishers, and they're going to continue to go after his Witch Elves. So to me, this is a very good engagement. But what's going to happen on this front is, led by this Death Hag with the Witch Brew, he's going to start to cleave through my Temple Guards. They would otherwise be solid you know, formations here, but they're going to be dealt with rather handily as my guys charge in the center, and he's going to withdraw. And I'm hoping to just kite his guys to death. Kroxigars tying down the middle, so this is pretty good for me. I just have to make sure that I commit the rest of my guys, and here is going to be a little bit of a problem. The Death Hag, like I said, is starting to cut through my units here, and I'm going to try and get a nice charge in the flank with some of my guys. So here comes a charging Feral Bastillodon. I didn't want to commit too much to this front. I was waiting to see where Indy would engage with his guys, but figuring they were going to be stuck here, here comes a big charge through the center. I completely mistimed this. If I'd gone a little bit sooner, I could have destroyed these guys, but now Murderous Prowess is going to be popped, and that's going to allow these guys to really hold up much better. So this blob came in just at the wrong time, but I think with overwhelming numbers, I should be okay. Meanwhile, the center is going to crash in, but my Saurus Warriors just literally get steamrolled by a charge of the Witch Elves plus the Hydra. That is devastating. Over here, Black Ark Corsairs against Saurus Warriors are actually going to do so much damage. So yeah, that engagement was really devastating to me. On this flank, I'm really taking down Malekith, but now Indy can circle back around. I don't really have the critical numbers in the rear that I wanted to, and so now he can push back into the center. So this was a pretty big problem for me. Again, I tend to have a lot of these issues with mistiming. So in this case, just the mistiming here was me getting into this engagement. I should have let that ability proc. I had one Temple Guard here. That was probably worth the sacrifice. I should have let the Temple Guard sit in that combat, forced Indy to get that trigger, and then just held back my main center line and just kited, continued to retreat, continued to fire in the back, and not engage the center. Wait for Murderous Prowess to wear off and then get back in. Because what's happened now is my guys charge into the main line just as his Murderous Prowess triggered, allowed him to cut through my center, and now I have no real follow-up, which means that his Dark Shards here are going to be pretty much left free to retarget and finally get back at my Chameleon Skinks. On this front, I am getting good success. Ancient Stegodon plus Kroxgar doing a lot of damage. In the rear, going to be charging his Dark Riders, and then I'm coming in with my Skink cohort again to reinforce. But look at all this devastating armor-piercing damage against my guys. That's going to start to force my units back, and I'm just not getting much done on this flank. Again, Murderous Prowess just doing its work. So my guys are continuing to kite. I did hold back 2 Temple Guard units, keeping away from his Argoneth Executioners. I knew they could do so much damage, so I just wanted to bide my time. I guess I have to get used to the timing of this ability, because, yeah, it goes on for quite some time. Anyways, Kroxgar is going to try and engage, but he's being super held down. Look how quickly his health is going to go down. I take the time to launch a missile strike at Malekith because I really want to get him off the battlefield. Over here, I'm going to be engaging the Hydra, and finally I do close in with Kroxgar, tying down his guys. Skink's getting in as well. The Black Guard of Naggaroth is going to be coming in here. I'm going to try and get Cold-Blooded. It's going to drop some of my melee defense, but I felt like I really needed to top off on that health and then pull him out. And yeah, now I'm crushing in on Indy's guys. Malekith is continuing to pursue. On this flank, I am winning. And here comes Indy, going to try and Oh no, I'm popping all my abilities, sorry. Yeah, I popped more abilities, and it looks like finally Murderous Prowess does get off, and so now with multiple monsters in the mix, things should go back in my favor, and I do still have some of my guys over on this flank. And now these Temple Guard, which were previously held back out of fear of that ability going off, are going to come back and re-engage against some targets. So one going to be going after these Hargoneth Executioners. So here they come for a charge. Should be a pretty good exchange. The second one is going to be free to hit these archers in the back. I'm also coming in with my Skink Priest of Beasts, and he's going to be able to get some deadly damage here. Flock of Doom causing a fair amount of damage to his guys, bringing them down low. And I'm going to get a nice strike there as well, targeting Malekith, and he's super low. Really want to bring him down. If I can get his morale to drop or him to flee, that's going to be really good for me. A lot of Indy's guys are rallying, but I still have this Ancient Stegodon, which has 2 chevrons at this point and has some range abilities. So I'm trying to shake these guys so I can turn about and hit Malekith. He's really super low, only a couple volleys to see him off. But anyways, these guys are turning him back around, trying to focus down Kroq-Gar, who's getting ready to rout. So this is really close for me. I'm going to come in with some Source Warriors to try and save him. And I'm now getting into the back with these Temple Guards. They're trading relatively well against these Hargoneth Executioners, but it is a very close fight. Meanwhile, Feral Bastiladon still cleaving through his guys. So if I can kill Malekith, and it looks like he's routing, this is going to be very close for me. This is going to be super close. And what's going to happen is he's going to come back from routing relatively soon. Meanwhile, Kroq-Gar is also routing, being chased by the Death Hag. Whoever can kill the enemy's lord seems like they should win. The Hydra here has been off to the side chasing some guys and regenning, but luckily I still do have some skirmishers, and they're going to try and go after this Death Hag. So I do still have the opportunity to take out the linchpins in Indy's army. At this point, Kroq-Gar does come back. So his morale is going to start to rally. Although my skirmishers here are out of ammo, so they're going to try and take out this Death Hag by themselves, which is a fool's errand. So now I have to dodge this Hydra who's coming in. Luckily, I'm much quicker than it, and it's going to be distracted by the slow, lumbering prey. But also, keep an eye on that. Malekith is also coming back. He's going to try and target my lord, I believe. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, yeah, there you go. So I'm going to launch a blow. Boom, hit him in the face. He dies. But he also landed a strike against me. Luckily, I just had enough ammo to last. So Kroq-Gar there going out with a nice strike, gonna snipe Malekith. And now Indy's starting to get some routing across the board. I still have some monsters here and there, but my melee infantry is the one that's starting to rout. So I really need to bring them back. I only have a couple Temple Guard units. One in the center is still pretty strong, and it's being reinforced by this Ancient Stegodon. So if I can start to get a nice morale collapse against his guys, it should go in my favor. However, the big problem is this Death Hag. Had I had one skirmisher with a little bit more health, could have kited this thing to death and really gotten it off the battlefield. That would have been amazing. Anyways, another Flock of Doom being cast on these Blackguard of Naggaroth, who are silver chevroned, so they are being very powerful. I'm a little bit wary about throwing in Kroq-Gar, but I'm going to go ahead and get them in here and cast one of those spells to disrupt his guys and just run right on through. Just want to be there to disrupt and help turn the tide back in my favor. So he's being a little cautious. And then I'm dispatching my Skink Priest here against the Death Hag. It pops Witch's Brew, which is going to be really powerful, but I'm so close to killing it. Down to 600 health, but he is doing a lot of damage against my Skink Priest. I guess it's really hard to deal with this guy, and there he goes. He kills me. The Skink Priest himself flopping down onto the ground. So the Death Hag does run away. And with that, I'm going to get a little bit of a collapse. I was coming in with Kroq-Gar, hoping to kill it, but this Hydra in the vicinity does see me off. And so with that, my army does go down. But I thought this was a really fun battle. I really like the way the Skinks perform. My first time really doing a multiplayer battle with the Lizardmen, and I do definitely expect to bring more of those guys, as well as the Fireleech Bola Pterodons. They are very good at kiting. You can really control the early game. And as always, I do want to point out some of the mistakes that I had. So the first one was when Murderous Prowess procced, disengaged. No point of engaging, and when I was engaging my main line, I committed to it before his ability popped, so I didn't quite have a sense that it would come so soon. If I had, I should have just called it a day. I had the skirmishing advantage in the rear, should have just popped out and waited, because engaging prematurely with the against the enemy like that is just going to get you killed and slaughtered. My main line melted, whereas in a typical game, they could have lasted a bit longer, held down his front, and allowed some of my bigger monsters to get around the back. And I think if I'd have been able to kill more of his Dark Shards, that would have saved some of my monsters and allowed them to do more damage. Another thing also that you should do is with your lords, yeah, you should 100% be targeting the Death Hag if your enemy brings it. It is what is really making the enemy super powerful. So another thing I'm going to need to learn how to do is save at least one skirmisher and one lord to take this bad boy out, because yeah, it is the linchpin of your enemy's force. But yeah, anyways, so things were learned, and yeah, but anyways, it was a very fun battle. Well fought for Indie Pride to pull that one back from what I thought was going to be a victory on my end. But yeah, awesome map as well. We didn't get to talk about it, but I really like the asymmetry on this one. A little bit unfair to have someone deploy on the low ground, the other one on the high ground, but this was an unfortified settlement map, so you can expect a little bit of that asymmetry. That being said, let's end the replay and take a look at some of the final stats here. So we were playing with huge armies, so I actually brought more men than Indie Pride. A lot of kind of fodder units. So for instance, these skink cohorts were pretty cheap, but I thought pretty effective. Spear Riders, though, oh god, not trading very well against Indie's own Cold One Dread Knights. The Dread Knights, I believe, are a little bit better than my guys. I took the kind of the lower tier Cold One Riders. Skink cohorts, I would say ditch these guys for Chameleon Skinks. Definitely 60 and 67 kills apiece. Oh my god, those guys are going to pay for themselves. So I would say bring at least 2 or 3 of those guys. They are freaking awesome. Temple Guards did pretty well. Main line of Saurus Warriors did alright, actually, all things considered, because they were going against you know, a murderous prowess procced Dark Elf army. So yeah, they did okay. Kroxagar is doing decently, some of them in the cav fight. The other one I think went feral and was focused down by the Dark Shards. So yeah, I definitely needed to get those guys off the battlefield. Anyways, the Pterodon Riders with the Fire Leech Bullets, they were firing the whole time, so I guess they did more HP damage than the actual kills. Seemed like they were doing a lot. But I think most of their damage was done to Malekith early on. It really kept Malekith from landing and doing a lot of, you know, melee combat. So, you know, that early damage definitely proved its worth. But look at this Death Hag, 266. This thing is freaking crazy. I do wonder if they're going to end up tweaking some of the stats behind it. But that guy, or that lady, super powerful on its mount, especially in the middle of an infantry blob. You really need to shut it down. Ancient Stegodon, 121 and 2 chevrons. Yeah. Very expensive piece of equipment, but lumbering around as it does and being able to hold down the flank, it will do work for you. So that's it for this battle. Hope you guys enjoyed, and definitely stay tuned for more. Let me know what you'd like to see in terms of videos, and I will be more than happy to get those your way. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, as I said, and definitely check out Indie Pride's channel as well, where I'm sure he'll be uploading a lot of content. So yeah, peace out.